What's up, Dani? How's it going?
So good, sir.
You're going to be the official episode 1 of the relaunch of the Trifecta podcast, which we're excited about.
Myself.
Yeah, we were thinking about like making it I think we got to like episode 15 or something before the pandemic hit, but that brought everything to a grinding halt with guests coming to visit. So
well, I love that
we're
just
excited
rolling out the carpet for me. This is great.
Yeah, we're excited
Happy
to launch
to be
again. These plants will be dead in 3 weeks, so it's good for you to get in here and get
Got
some
them in
of
their prime.
the podcast action. So yeah, no, happy you're out of Trifecta headquarters.
Yeah.
You promised us you would dangle your feet off the couch
okay.
during this during this episode to make it exciting. But wanted to talk to you about some of the stuff we were talking about at lunch. Whether it's the Girls Who Eat kind of campaign that you have going on. I mean, maybe we should start there because I think that's arguably what you're most well known for in the CrossFit space, outside of lifting obnoxiously heavy sandbags that went viral everywhere. So tell us about Girls Who Eat. Like, what's going on with that?
Well, it's just been this brand that I've kind of centered everything around for a really long time. It started off as just like a funny thing that a friend and I said. And I just was like, this could be something. It's something that I really want to put heart and soul behind. Obviously, there's the literal meaning, girls who like to eat. I enjoy actual food and like the physical form of eating. But there's been so many restrictions, stereotypes, rules that women have had to conform to, follow for like just too long. And it's all about like breaking those stereotypes. Women can be strong and muscular, and they can be beautiful and feminine at the same time. We can be athletic and smart. We can be all the things. So it's just kind of like a woman's empowerment, embodying the love of yourself while on the road to being like healthy. And to be healthy, you do have to eat. So it just kind of ties in everything.
Nice. And it sounds like you're going to actually launch some clothing for it in the near future, including some menswear for
absolutely
guys that like Girls Who Eat.
Yeah. I've got a lot of male fans out there who like the Girls Who Eat, so gotta show them some love.
Nice, love it. And I know that kind of brings up another, I would say like controversial topic, which is very. I would say the CrossFit space has gotten into it a little bit. It's probably a bigger deal in bodybuilding and of course modeling, which is body positivity in general. It's something that on the Trifecta side of the fence, I think we get nervous about like where to wade into those waters. We obviously want everybody to be healthier, and we provide healthy food for hundreds of thousands of Americans. But it's we also at the same time want to promote evidence-based science and tell people, hey, there are certain elements of health that come with healthy eating, and of course certain negative elements of health that come with like not healthy eating. So curious your perspective, like cancel culture aside, like I don't want to like tee
all the
you
keyboard
up.
warriors out there, like
exactly.
Chill out for a second. Let me get through the whole thing.
Yeah, 100%. So curious your perspective on that, and happy to talk about ours as well.
Yeah, I think the whole body positivity movement is great. I think for too long, this unobtainable skeletal image has been something that women have tried to obtain, and I'm glad that we are moving in a more body positive direction. But I think as a society, in a way, we kind of missed the mark. We kind of missed the point of like this whole body positivity thing being love yourself and love your body, like love who you are. As long as if you're at a state where you need to be a little healthier, that you love yourself every step of the way, as long as you are taking those steps. And I think it kind of shifted into love yourself no matter the health risks, which is great. I'm the number one advocate for not body shaming, not saying like you have to conform to this, that, whatever. Eat what you want to eat in moderation. As long as you love yourself in the moment, and if you need to be healthier, you're taking those steps, like, great, I'm going to be your number one cheerleader. But I do think that we've gone a little like off, and it's kind of like, as long as you love yourself, it's okay to be unhealthy. And I think we've kind of like shifted a little too far. And I think we do need to bring like the health kind of like back into the forefront of everything.
Yeah.
So again, like, this is not me saying like, you know, body shaming anybody, obviously, but I do think as a society, we do need to put health instead of just actual body image.
100%. And I think there's like the too hardcore in one direction and too hardcore in the other, and it's you know, it's probably something down the middle where, you know, from my perspective, obviously I've been doing this for a long time with Trifecta. Even prior to Trifecta, I was in the kind of health food space, and you know, ultimately for people, they want to look at the health risk factors, right? If you are, you know, 20, 30, 50, even more pounds overweight, 100 pounds, et cetera. But at the same time, like the way I view body positivity is like, okay, this is where I'm at today, because I promise you, I work with all kinds of incredible athletes like you. Everybody is working towards something. It doesn't matter if you're like Mr. Olympia, you're trying to gain 5 more pounds of muscle, or, you know, lose another percentage of body fat, or, you know, whatever it is. So people saying, okay, this is where I am in my particular journey, and these are what my goals are, and what I'm working towards, and not necessarily being overly self-deprecating, you know, with where they are in their particular journey, but at the same time, a lot of us, you know, myself included, oftentimes realizing, hey, where I'm at right now is probably not like the healthiest state I could be at, and I'd like to work and strive towards something with healthier eating or exercise, or you know, whatever it is. So so yeah, no, it's something that is like a constant hot topic here at Trifecta, because we feed so many people, and a majority of those people come to us, you know, not necessarily to build muscle. The vast majority of them are trying to lose fat, you know, especially in the U.S. So.
No, I think it started off as like almost like a confidence issue. Where, I mean, just the reality of it is most women wouldn't feel comfortable starting a health journey because they didn't want to publicly put themselves out there in a gym, because they weren't comfortable with where they were. So they were like, we have to start this body positivity movement where everyone loves themselves, everyone's on their own journey. And that's where I'm saying we kind of missed the mark, is we went a little too far, where we were like, hey, be happy with where you are. But, you know, the ... after that was, as long as you're taking steps to be healthy. And so I love that the confidence piece is there. Like, women are just being like, I am who I am, and I love myself. Like, yes, love that. But if we're scientifically looking at their bodies and what's going on within their bodies, sometimes they're not healthy. And like, that's just like, I want these strong, confident women to live until they're 120. We need these women to live longer with the confidence to instill upon like the next generation to love yourself and like want to be strong, want to be powerful. But we need you to get there, you know. And I think there are just some markers that, you know, aren't healthy, and so you just got to bring it all together.
Yeah, no, 100%.
There, step by step.
Yeah, it is a step-by-step process. So let's talk about your journey. Obviously, you're coming off the Rogue Invitational this last weekend in Austin, Texas, and you've flown out to visit us in Sacramento, California, which we appreciate. So
always.
You know, would love to know, you know, A, how the Invitational went, and then, you know, B, a little bit more about your journey to get from like normal person like me to, you know, where you're at now, like elite athlete, you know, probably top 0.0001% of like fittest people on earth. Like, let's be real. You know, everybody watching this is like, yeah, you know, she's in that category. So, you know, we'd love to know how you felt the Invitational went, and then, you know, more about your personal journey.
Yeah. Okay. Part A and B. So, Rogue Invitational, I didn't think I was actually going to compete there, so I went and took like a 6-week hitus over in Europe and was like, yay.
I know, Italy's going to be my next questions for you. You're like, the pasta. Yeah.
I was just like living life, enjoying it. The off season for a lot of CrossFit athletes is just like non-existent. We take like a week off and we're like, okay, well, we got to get back into it because I have to be ready for, you know, XYZ. And I just said, you know what, for my own mental health, I'm taking the 6 weeks. I'm going to go and live my life, have fun. And then around like that last week of vacation, like Rogue reached out, was like, hey, like we have a spot. Do you want to compete? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, ooh, sure.
I know, and it sounds like Rogue covers hotels, flights. They're doing a great job of taking care of the athletes, which I want to plug them for. Yeah.
It's the competition to go to. They take care of the athletes. They care about our comfort. They're saying, okay, hey, we're gonna fly you out. We're going to like make sure you're set up in a hotel. Then while you're here, it's actually going to be worth it. So a lot of athletes go out to a competition, lose money with no chance of making it back. So at least like no matter what, like every athlete, no matter what, left with at least $5,000. And then
that's awesome.
If they, for me, like I was out there a couple days, so there were like a couple days in the hotel where like they didn't expense, but they expensed enough. I'm just like, I suck at like acclimating to places, so I go out a little earlier. Yep. But if athletes did it the way that Rogue set it up, they made $5,000, which is unheard of, in any competition. So they take care of the athletes and they make it fun and exciting, not just for the spectators, but for the athletes. We got to do new things, new implements. I praise them on being able to make a strength event really exciting. So they did it, at the CrossFit Games, they did the sandbag ladder, and then they just did it here with like the log lift. The athletes like cool, like 1 rep max clean and jerk or a snatch or like some kind of complex, like we're over it.
But it's something you've done thousands, even I've done it thousands of times, and I'm like super basic.
It's nice because you see new implementations in the gymnastics or like the cardio sense or just like the different workouts. It's really rare to find how are we going to actually test strength, especially with an odd object. So it was awesome. So like the Rogue Invitational is definitely, a lot of the athletes are talking like it's the competition to really try to go to. It's great.
So I watched the log lift video. Like, do you actually train with that, or is that just like you're used to like normal Olympic bar clean and jerks, and you're like, I'm just gonna go for it?
Once it got like kind of teased that it was going to be released, I got to play around with it like one day kind of thing, and didn't even play around with it correctly. Like I was lifting it off the ground and like trying to like really like fully like clean it and like do all these like different kind of things. And then we're back in the warm-up area, and we've got the strongmen there. And they're like, okay, well, what you want to do is you want to like sit with it and then roll up your body. And I'm like, I didn't do any of this correctly. Like I got to relearn this in 30 minutes before I go out there. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's just new, it's fun, but like nobody had more than a week most to like maybe kind of play around with it. So everybody was kind of out there like flying blind, and like that's fun.
Yeah.
And just like the event where they have the muscle ups with like the big log, no one's out there practicing that, and so we're all just kind of out there figuring it out. And I think that's what makes an event exciting, is when all the athletes are truly on like the same playing field. No one's been practicing something in secret. We're all just out there kind of looking around like, hey, how you doing over there? I'm struggling. You struggling too? Cool. We'll get through it.
No, it almost feels like strongman-esque or something, and I feel like that was like initially the really cool thing about CrossFit. It was this awesome mashup of like gymnastics and Olympic lifting and all this other stuff, and I love when they introduce new stuff like that, because that's something that we also sponsor the World's Strongest Man, and that's something they do, is they're like, okay, what creative thing can we do this year? Like, can they pull a train or lift a car or do something for speed or whatever? And I love seeing CrossFit and the CrossFit Invitational is doing more stuff like that.
Yeah, it keeps it interesting. For everybody.
So part 2 of the question, I don't want to forget it. Like your personal journey from being like normal human Dani to like training to this level. Are you like Matt Frazier, and you're like, I only train an hour a day, type of thing? Or is it like, I'm like, everybody saw that and they're like, wow, that's incredible genetics then. But like, what's your backstory?
I've done sports my whole life. I was a gymnast growing up, and then bounced around from volleyball, track, diving. I rode my freshman year in college, so I bounced around, and I found CrossFit my senior year of college. I had come out of like a really abusive relationship and was trying to like find something to just give myself confidence. I was looking for a community. I was looking for how can I feel, love for myself again. And so for most women, the way that you can feel self-love is to be more confident and body positive. So that was my first step, and that's why I started doing CrossFit. I had a friend say, hey, like, I think you'd be good at it. I think you'd enjoy it. like most people, you know, I went and YouTube CrossFit, saw the CrossFit games and all the weird stuff that they were doing, like carrying logs, and I was like, this is not for me. Absolutely not. 4 months later, I like walk into a CrossFit box, do my first workout, and I was sold. I like immediately started drinking the Kool-Aid hard. I was like, CrossFit shoes, CrossFit knee sleeves. And I was like ordering everything. I was definitely the person that had like all the gear at first.
Did you show up with like full Reebok?
100%. Oh yeah.
I love it.
And I was like cutting like the shirt sleeves off. I had socks on, some knee sleeves to do like pull-ups. I was like super cool.
Nice.
But it started off as just becoming like something where I just wanted to feel good about myself. And then very early on, I was like, okay, I actually like kind of have a knack for it. I'm gonna go for it. I really think I could make something out of this. I think I could compete. I think I could have an impact greater than just myself. And it started off like very, very early. And I started documenting my own, you know, progress, my own story, and people just started resonating with it, and it kind of just like built from there. But it started like most people, just I wanted to feel better about myself and I wanted to look better naked. It just gets down to like the raw reality of the situation is you just want to feel better about yourself. That's where it started.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has that moment you had though where they're like, I can do this, I could train more regularly and eventually go to the CrossFit games, and like nobody actually does it though. Like when I first did CrossFit my first year, I was like, yeah, I mean, if I really applied myself, I could totally do this. And then like a year into it, I was like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna actually do this successfully. So
it takes a lot. Like, I mean, it's like one thing where, you know, back in the earlier years, you kind of could split time though. You could train a decent amount and hold a regular job, but now you really don't see a whole lot of CrossFitters out there who are training full-time and have a full-time job. They're becoming a rarer breed because the volume is just getting so intense. Like, you just have to dedicate your life to it. So it's becoming harder and harder for people just to stumble into a CrossFit box and be like, I'm gonna go for it. Because it's like, to go for it, you gotta put everything off to the side. And even
like realistically, how many hours a day of training are we talking about? Like, don't bullshit the people. Like,
it's a lot. So especially in the months like really like leading up to like, you know, semifinals, the games, like core season, you're getting up. And so for me, like, I get up around like 9:30. I'm in the gym by 10 to usually like 1, and then I have, you know, some kind of like middle thing where maybe like 1:45 to 2:45 there's some kind of interval training, whether it be running, swimming, something, and then we're back at the gym 3:30, 4, all the way until potentially like 7, and then that's just the time spent at the gym. You know, you got to do the other stuff. You got to do
like
the
accessory work.
You got to do the mobility. You got to get like the body work done. You have to make sure the nutrition is there. And so anything that can make things easier, obviously, like the athletes like flock towards that. But it is a full-time job. Like, sometimes it's hard to do something like pick up the phone and like do some social media interactions. Like, there are days where it's impossible to do anything else. So for those, because there are some athletes out there who still try to like, they get up at the 5 a.m. to be able to get in a session, to be able to go to work, or especially the athletes out there like Chloe Wilson, she's a firefighter and like still does all this. I can't imagine. So it's incredible. But it's a full-time job. If you're doing it correctly to try to be at that level, it's a full-time job.
Yeah, I remember one of the most impressive ones, and I loved her. She was like the sweetest one, was Julie Fouché. Went through medical school and then came in second in the CrossFit Games, and I was like, like, I don't even know how you have that many hours in a day.
It's unfathomable how people do it. Yeah. And I was a big fan of hers when she was competing, and you're like, wow, like what a outstanding athlete, and then you find out what she's doing like
in the background
like on the side, like not even promoting it, like not being like, hey, maybe I didn't do so well because I was, you know, taking boards.
Like, okay. She's like studying 16 hours a day, you know.
No
big deal,
on her assault bike, like with her textbook.
So talk about the ancillary stuff. Obviously, you know, Trifecta, you're a Trifecta sponsored athlete. Like, give us the give us the breakdown of your diet, like, what, and obviously it's not all Trifecta Food, but are you shooting for a certain amount of calories per day? Like upstairs, we were talking about like TDEE, which is total daily energy expenditure. Like, are you like more of the type of person that you're so nutrition aware now that you're able to like intuitively eat? Are you following like a specific like regime? Like walk us through where you came from and where you're at now when it comes to nutrition, because that's such a big part of your brand and obviously Trifecta.
It fluctuates with like how like where in the season that I'm at. Like I just said, I just took 6 weeks in Europe where like it was, if I didn't have 2 croissants at breakfast, it was a bad day. So
like, that sounds amazing. That's the best part about Europe is like the pastries in the morning for sure.
So good. And so obviously like the off season is like very different than when the season first starts ramping up. Like right now I'm getting back into like the clean eating and tracking, just like in my head being like, okay, well, that has around 30 grams of protein, this has that. So it's like kind of like an eyeball mental math type of deal. There will become a point where I whip out the app and I'm like very, very, very diligent with things like that. And then also you get to the point where in the really crux of the season, you might hit macros depending on like what you're trying to do. For me, I'm an athlete who like, it's always going to be, I'm probably just trying to maintain or cut. Like there's never like a purposely bulking season for me. My body does that naturally. Like I get up in the morning, my body is like, well, let's eat. So mine is always going to be like maintain or cut.
Yeah.
But when you get so much volume in a day, sometimes you like hit your macros and you can feel the fatigue and you're like, okay, well, I just need to like, so there becomes a point in like an athletic career where you're just like, I need a little bit more or I'm not going to feel well like the next day. So it kind of, like I said, it just fluctuates. You go by feel, you go by app, sometimes you go by app and feel. Right now, like I said, I'm back into kind of like just eyeballing stuff, clean eating. It's really nice with time management. Like right now, like that's like the biggest thing is it, no matter what level of the season we're at, just like the convenience part is just so nice to be able to like eyeball some stuff and then know like how much is like in a container. Because eyeballing, you're like, okay, well, half of that. It just makes it easy instead of like having like this, raw chicken. You're like, now I gotta get my scale out. So
all the work involved with that. Yeah, I feel like most people don't take it to that level of extreme. They're just trying to eat high protein and low calories, for the most part. But like, I mean, like realistically, do you know how many calories you're eating in a day? Is it like 2,000, 4,000? Like where are you at?
I've never really tracked calories. It's always been macros for me.
Yeah.
But I am very, very like high protein. So right now I'm technically like trying to like cut and like get rid of that Italy.
Like
so
peel those croissants.
For me, my cut looks like I'm eating around like 250 grams of protein a day, and then I have 30, like anywhere between like 33 to 36 grams of fat, so very, very low fat. And then I fluctuate my carbs depending on like what I do for training in the day. So like high volume training, I'll still hit like 230 grams of carbs, but then I can go all the way down for like my rest days. I try to keep it like around 180. So my body doesn't need them. I'm not doing anything. I'm not expending a lot of energy. So, which is still high carb for like a normal person.
For most normal people. Yeah, for sure.
Which is what, that's my biggest pet peeve is like a lot of people are like, I love, the body positivity. I love your body. I want to look like you. What are your macros? And it's my biggest pet peeve question on Instagram. Because it's like,
you're like, you're not me today.
It's just like one of those things where, the education part, like we were talking about, if people just knew, they really do sometimes believe that if I gave them my macro numbers and they ate that way, they would be able to look like I do. And it's like the average person, if they ate what I ate when I'm trying to cut, would gain so much weight.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where they just don't comprehend the amount of work that goes in, because all they do is they see like maybe a clip here and there of me working out, but like my story is I'm like, I want to interact with people and be relatable. So I'm like talking about the food. I'm talking about, XYZ, my coffee order, like this. So they think that that's what I live my life do. I do like a couple little, I might do some burpees here and then I'm off eating, cookies and donuts. I'm like, no, that's what I want to share with you guys. Because again, like no one wants to see me sitting at a table eating raw chicken. Oh my god, unseasoned chicken. Can you imagine? They would watch that.
Yeah, just straight chicken and broccoli.
Yeah. Instead of like Liver King, it's like raw chicken girl.
But the thing that it's actually my pet peeve when it comes to food is exactly what you said about like the donuts and brownies and other things. Is we worked with a ton of celebrities, celebrity athletes, influencers, etc. And they get really excited about eating the cheap food. It's almost like The Rock. Like he's not posting his like everyday chicken and broccoli, and people
with those
realize
huge
it.
French toast
but on
blocks.
Sunday, he's like, boom, French toast or brownies or waffles or whatever it is, fried chicken. And people are like, oh, that's incredible. Like The Rock can eat fried chicken and have amazing
So I'm
abs.
going to go do some bicep curls and eat some fried chicken.
Exactly. So that's that's the one of my biggest pet peeves about social media is like being able to communicate to people that like these people for most of the time are eating like incredibly clean food, and then occasionally they get a donut and they're so hyped about it that they like post it on TikTok and they're like, hey, check out these amazing
If I
donuts.
really gave like a play-by-play of like my whole entire day, everyone would realize like I'm so lame. All I do is I eat, I will sit and I'll read, I'll eat my trifecta and I'll drink my coffee and then I'll go to the gym. And people would like immediately be like, wow, this is so boring. Why do I follow this page?
So you're like, plan B is like put a pumpkin head on, get into bondage gear, and we film a video out of this.
Give the people what they want.
100%. I mean, I'm curious about that, like social media wise. Or do you like put a lot of? I mean, I'm assuming you have to come up with like continuous stuff every single day. Like it's one of the hardest ways to like actually maintain a large scale audience, because like prior to the CrossFit Games, you had, I don't remember, 700,000-800,000 followers, and you lifted the the fucking sandbag from heaven, and like your numbers like went off the Richter. I think you gained more followers this year than anybody else in all of CrossFit. I was seeing it on like my LinkedIn feed. They're like, the winners of the games are actually like the people who gain the most followers and all this stuff, and your name was obviously at the top of the chart. So like, how much thought do you have to put into like maintaining an audience like that size at this point?
The thought process becomes less and less about like maintaining, and it's just like I start thinking, I'm like, okay, well, if I posted this, would I personally pause? If I was just scrolling, if I didn't follow somebody, would I pause on something and be interested in what they're doing or interested in what they're saying? And half the battle is just getting, people to stop scrolling. You have to get like that little hook. You got to hook people in. So, put a pumpkin on your head. But then like once you get into my page, maybe you'll start listening to my body positivity. How can you be healthier with like a meal prep company? How you can supplement some stuff into your lifestyle, like XYZ. How can you be, more open to strong women, again, just the XYZ thing. So it's just more about trying to get the people interested enough to care enough to stay, to listen to what I have to say. And it just is one of those things where sex sells. So, that's why like all CrossFitters are pretty popular, because we're known, like we take off our shirts like before the warm-up starts. So it's just mostly knowing what will like hook people in, and I just try to put out content that like I would be interested in, because me, like everybody else, you get a little tired seeing the same thing on Instagram like over and over and over again, like the person posing with a product. I'm not going to stop scrolling through my Discover page for that, so you just gotta get the people to stop. 100%. Pause a little bit.
We always tell people like, don't post. Tell people what you're doing with your nutrition and workout.
Yeah.
And all that type of thing.
Yeah.
Products up. So, Dani, what's next? I know you've got the girls who eat, direction that you want to go with your personal brand in a big way. But like, what's long-term vision? What's like the Jay Cutler strategy, type thing, above and beyond when you're actually competing? It's one of my favorite questions for CrossFitters, because nobody is really like super competitive after age like 35 or 40. You know what I mean?
And the body does wear down eventually.
100%.
I want to just take the brand and have it. So we're starting off small. Obviously, in January, I want to release some apparel about the girls who eat stuff. And that's really just to get brand awareness out there. Eventually I want to take it to, a whole new level and really make it, female body empowerment, body positivity, not just for, females. And I want to host seminars. I want to bring like intellectual women together to teach women how to love themselves, and not just like a physical way, but in a soul way, and in a body positivity way. I want to I want to have like an impact. And there are so many different paths and routes I could take with that, but in game is I would like to leave a nice footprint on the world of having women love themselves in a healthy way, like the body positivity. And I would like my name to kind of be out there floating as someone who really turned the tides with that whole movement. So that's long-term goals.
Have you done seminars yet? Are you like excited to get into speaking and that kind of stuff?
I have wanted to start for a while. It's more of I wanted to have the brand kind of set up and have like that slogan really like mean something before I started getting into the seminars. So very, very soon I want to start like hosting that kind of stuff. I would like to bring panels of women together who have impacted me and let them show the world how they can love themselves and how they started loving themselves. So I don't want it just to be about me. I want to bring a lot of really, really interesting, intellectual, amazing women together. So very soon I want to start doing things like that.
I love that. So give us an example. Who were like maybe a few of the women that inspired you when you were first like, okay, I'm going to dive into CrossFit. I'm going to get big into fitness and nutrition and all of that. Like who were some of the women you looked up to?
So when I first started, it was more of, all the games athletes that were competing before I made it to the games. You see these strong women proud of their bodies that are very, very different from what you would see on a normal day-to-day basis. And it's kind of funny because I'm surrounded by so many like CrossFitters nowadays. It's funny when I just go out into like a regular setting, like if I go to a concert and I'm surrounded by like
everybody's not jacked and shredded all the time.
It's kind of, or like I'll go to like a friend's wedding and it's like it's just like one of those like shocking moments. But when I first started, it was just the games athletes. Like I was like, they love themselves, like they are what I want to obtain. So it was that. And then as it became, I started getting into that space, it became people who could teach me how to love myself, and not just like that like physical way. And I have to give like a shout out to one of my close friends. Her name is Heidi. She is one of the greatest humans I've ever met, and she is someone who can sit down with you and just open up the floodgates of like why you're holding on to like some negative energy in your life. And that kind of stuff is what helped me kind of break some barriers on the whole like self-love, body positivity journey. So it's people like that who get you thinking on more than just like am I going to have a six-pack one day level. So that's those are the people who I aspire to be like, and that's why I want to take this to like a whole new level, so I can like leave that same impact on other people's lives.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think people don't think about as much as they should. Is like we talk about like community a lot at Trifecta, but part of that isn't just like who you're hanging out with individually. It's who you follow on social media, and on podcasts or various other things, because those are the people that are going to be like influencing how you think about the world. And it's really amazing to see how quickly the algorithms like adapt to, I follow a lot of like people who make healthy meal prep recipes, or athletes, or even some celebrities, sports leagues, that type of stuff. And it puts me in a environment on social media that's very aspirational. And I'm coaching my adorable two little nieces. One is like 19 and the other one's 16, and just like giving them like life advice. I'm like
Sorry, you said like adorable little nieces, and I immediately was like 4 years old, and you're like 19. I'm sure she's gonna watch this and be like, "What?"
No, they're both like badasses in their own right, type thing. But they're like becoming adults, type phase of their life, and I try and be like one of the things I wish more adults had done with me when I was a kid is like talk to me like an adult. Like tell me the real answer, not like the sugar coated type thing. And I give it to them like very direct and try and give them like advice that's, I'm 39 now, I'm almost 40, which is fucking terrifying. But, I try and give them like wisdom that I've learned and, pass that along to them. And I've just noticed that like my feed compared to their feed is like pretty like wildly different. So I try and like inject some of that in there for them. And I think that's like one of the first steps on people's journeys they can make is, hey, if you're trying to learn more about fitness or body positivity or nutrition or whatever it is, like follow accounts of people that are talking about that stuff on a regular basis. It will like become part of your like digital ecosystem automatically just by you getting involved and learning about it. Like you'll learn about macros just by following a bunch of accounts of people that talk about macros. Like you talk about macros very fluently and you eat by macros, but you'd be amazed at how many people come to us and they're like, I have no idea what a macro is.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you mean a macronutrient? And we're like, yeah, you figured it out. But it's like probably 90% of America couldn't tell you what macros are today. And I think people like really diving into a particular area like that allows them to like change their view on the world because they're constantly getting bombarded with that type of stuff now. So if you like want to lose weight, like follow a whole bunch of people that talk about weight loss because you're going to just get bombarded on by that information on TikTok or Instagram or whatever it is. So I don't know. That'll be my life hack for this episode is like control your feed because that's going to affect your life in a lot bigger way than you think it actually will. Because if you're following like comedy accounts, like that may be entertaining or other things like TMZ, like you may get some entertainment value out of it, but you're not going to get a huge amount of like personal development value. And I don't care who you are, you're probably spending some amount of time on social media or the internet in general. I don't know, I just wish more people like thought about that because it really does affect your like vision. And you use the word energy, which I love. Which energy sounds like very like woo-woo, type thing. But it's like actually true. Like what you, this is like more of a CEO type thing, but like what you visualize in your life is what you will like self-actualize towards over time. Like you're putting energy and thought into that, and there's all the books like The Secret and all of that about like visualizing that type of stuff.
But that's no secret.
Yeah, it's no secret. It's like that like you visualizing the person you want to become is what you'll ultimately work towards. Whether it's a CrossFit Games athlete, a CEO, whatever in particular it is. And yeah, I mean, people describe it with like energy and vibration or vibes or whatever it is, but it's that's one of the biggest possible life hacks that most people don't ultimately tap into. And it's you can do it by like changing the feed of information coming to you from all these different channels, whether it's social media, your friend networks, people like, I think you said Heidi was her name, people like Heidi that end up having a huge impact on your life.
Yeah. And it's like so many people for so long was like, you will be who you surround yourself with. And that was at a time when we weren't so absorbed in like the social media and the technology world. And so what you're saying is just incredibly true, is you have to surround yourself every single day with, your own goals and like what you want to obtain. And it is funny, like you can whisper something and your phone will pick it up. So it doesn't take much. Like you just need to spend 5 minutes like finding accounts that interest you in some things, and it may not be like you sit down that day and really dive into something, but it just takes like a couple little follows, and then eventually like your feed just kind of changes over time, and it's pretty gradual. So it's not like you have to do this huge step. Like take a little step today and go find 10 accounts that you admire or that have similar goals, or future visions of like what you want to obtain.
Yep.
Very, very simple. Like you said, there's no secret. Just like there's no secret to like losing weight. Like everyone wants like the quick fix, the diet pills or like the detox shakes or whatever, but it's really just like, are you working out and eating in a calorie deficit? It's so simple when you break it down, just like everything else. But we want to make it so overly complicated.
Yeah, that ends up being the secret. Is like how simple it actually is.
Yeah.
So give us what's next. What do you got coming up? You traveling more? I know we got a shoot with CrossFit over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Here at Trifecta HQ. Like, what's going on after that?
So I'll be here for a couple of days, then back to San Diego for a bit, and then we got the holidays, so like Thanksgiving, Christmas, gonna see some family, plans to go to New York, Colorado, then training, and then we got Wadapalooza in January. Really happy to be back down there in Miami. Always a really great competition. You guys are gonna be there.
Yeah.
Right?
We've never done Wadapalooza before. We've sponsored the CrossFit Games since, oh, good God, I don't know, across different brands since 2013. So
yeah.
I'm excited to finally do.
Time to come have some fun in Miami. Yeah.
Miami is the venue. I'll tell CrossFit every day that
it's
got to do beach locations. I love.
Oh, 100%.
It's so fun.
Yeah. So that's always a good time. So it'll be Miami in January, and then right around the corner is the CrossFit season. So it's going to be like at that point, Miami's kind of like the last little, like, we're competing, but we're having fun. We're going out and having a good time. After that, it becomes like the season. So it gets like pretty serious. So it's like really like getting into that grindstone kind of mode. So yeah, got a little bit more fun left of the year, and then back to work.
Yeah, solid work.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming back for the relaunch of the Trifecta podcast.
I'm
we appreciate
so
you
thrilled. Really honored.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dani.
Yeah.